Hello, everyone. Well, it is that time of year that is so difficult for many of us. It's so difficult because not all of us have perfect mothers or perfect fathers. In fact, some of us have mothers and fathers that are not up to expectations of their children, and some have even been abused by their mothers and their fathers. So this is a hard time of year for me. It's almost Father's Day, and as you know, my father was abusive of me. And it is a very difficult time of year for people who don't celebrate Father's Day and are averse to fathers in general just because of the way their fathers treated them. So I am not averse to fathers. I understand some of you have some very good fathers. So I wish you a happy Father's Day. But for me, Father's Day will always be a hard time. It'll always be a hard time for me because of the way my father treated me. He had no he had no sympathy for me whatsoever. He had no regard for me as a human being, and now it's too late. It's too late for him to ever make amends to me because I'm stuck with his voice in my head for the rest of my life. And that he was excited about that. He even said at the time, for the rest of your life. Like that. For the rest of your life, you're going to hear my voice. So he was really thrilled at the idea that I would hear his voice for the rest of my life. But he had low self-esteem himself. He was a very ugly man. He's very ugly. And had low self-esteem because he was ugly. And he knew he was ugly. He knew it. He knew he was ugly. But he had no, not even a shred of sympathy for me. He sexually abused me, and he was very, very abusive. He was it was a like a terrorist act. It was like terrorism or torture. It was a human torture case, and I never got any justice for the torture that I endured. So, because I was tortured, Father's Day is a very difficult day for me, you can imagine. And oftentimes on Father's Day, he'll send street people and private investigators and all sorts of people to bother me when I'm out and about. So I don't even like to go out on Father's Day because of that. And um, I just can't even tell you what a bad father he is. And now I know some of you have some bad fathers, and some of you have some good fathers. But I'm speaking now to the ones that had the bad fathers, because you know how difficult this day can be for us. And for those of you who have had bad mothers too, Mother's Day is a very difficult day for you, and you can't even bear to hear the words Happy Mother's Day because it reminds you of your mother that abused you. So I understand. I understand what you're going through because I've been through it myself. So this time of year, when they make it very difficult for us who have had bad mothers and bad fathers, just remember it's only once a year and you'll live through it. You'll get through it. You'll get through it, and somehow you will emerge from the other side stronger and victorious. So now I would like to touch on the news briefly. It turns out that Biden now has prostate cancer, and it's a pretty serious case of prostate cancer, but can be treated with hormones even though it's an advanced case. And boy, is it lucky for our country that he wasn't in office when this happened. Because just imagine how people would have been panicking and upset and scared to hear that their president had cancer that was terminal and that he wasn't going to make it through the end of his term. But was smart of Biden to bow out because next thing you know, he has cancer. So, feel bad for Biden and feel bad for him that he has cancer. Now, after Trump heard that Biden had cancer, he said, don't have any sympathy for Biden who has cancer because he's really a vicious person. He's really vicious. And then after he said that, he reposted something that he shouldn't have reposted. He reposted a conspiracy theory that Biden was a robot and that he had been assassinated in 2020 and that all this time all we've seen is Biden the robot and also AI generated images. And it's so ridiculous. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And it's not true. It's blatantly not true. And you know it's not true. But there's some people who will believe it. And you've got to be very cautious with the people who believe these things. Or even with the people who don't believe them. Because if these people believe that Biden is a robot, they won't see any harm in killing him or doing some harm to him and his family. They won't see because they'll think that they're just harming a robot and it's harmless to harm a robot. So you got to be really careful what you say around people who are less intelligent because they can believe these things. If you're the one who's saying it, they believe you. And you've got to be careful. You've got to be really careful what you say around certain people. So, that was not a class act by Trump. Not a classy thing to do at all. And Trump should be ashamed of himself for saying something like that about Biden. Another fellow president. Yes, not the greatest president ever. And arguable whether he's vicious or not, but he didn't deserve to be treated that way when he just found out he had cancer. He didn't deserve that. Biden did not deserve to be labeled a robot or an AI-generated image. Give me a break. That's so ridiculous. And now, what else has Trump done? He went to the Kennedy Center showing of Les Miserables. And this was after he totally upended the crew that takes care of the Kennedy Center and replaced the Kennedy Center sponsors all with Republicans and conservative people and people who were friendly to him. And then, once he did that, he went to see Les Miserables and the crowd booed him. The crowd booed him and they booed Melania when they stepped out into their seats. And 11 of the 12 people who were the stars of the Les Miserables walked out on their jobs. They refused to perform for Trump, and Trump said that they should be fired. So there's that. And also, Trump has bulldozed the Rose Garden. The Rose Garden has been there almost forever. I mean, at least since Teddy Roosevelt was president, it's been a Rose Garden. For over 120 years, there's been a Rose Garden. Now he's bulldozing it. Why? Because he wants to remake it like the patio at Mar-a-Lago. Trump's little slice of paradise, right? He wants to bring it to the White House and remake it like Mar-a-Lago. What's so great about Mar-a-Lago? I don't get it. I don't get the appeal of Mar-a-Lago to Trump, but he wants to do it. And he claims his real reason for bulldozing the rose garden and making it into a patio is because they give press conferences there, and the ladies with their high heels sink into the grass, and it makes it too difficult for them to walk, and they're falling all over the place, and they need to replace the grass with a nice a hard, firm patio. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, it's just too much all at once. And um, there's been other things in the news like uh, Israel wanting to bomb Iran. You remember that song, Bomb, 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 Iran, Bomb, Iran. You know that song, Bomb, Bomb, Iran. Uh, yeah, the lead singer of the Beach Boys just passed away, so we're very sorry for him. But they want to bomb Iran, and this is not a good idea. It's not a good idea to bomb Iran because what if they did have some nuclear missiles saved up? They could send their one and only nuclear missile to Tel Aviv or Jerusalem and just level the place. That's what Iran could do. And it's not outside of the realm of possibility that Iran could do such a thing. Because Iran has a history, an illustrious military history. Like they invaded India once upon a time. And the genes are very slow to change, so it's the same people. It's the same people who invaded India and were very aggressive militarily. And that's who they want to bomb? They want to bomb those people? I don't know. I don't think that's such a hot idea because they could retaliate in a big way. They could retaliate in a big way. It's more than possible. So I would not bomb Iran if I were Israel because it could be the end of their country. And Trump doesn't want them to bomb Iran. He wants to negotiate and get a nuclear settlement agreement with Iran that they won't develop missiles in exchange for whatever concessions that they may offer them to get them to not develop weapons and get a good deal. That's what Trump wants. He wants to make deals because that's how he views himself. He has a self-image of a man that makes deals and makes good deals. He thought that the deal that Obama made was not a good deal. So he withdrew U.S. support for that deal. And now he has to start from square one. He has to start from scratch because he scrapped Obama's deal. As if he's going to get a better deal than Obama got. Give me a break. Give me a break. I don't believe it. I don't believe he's going to get a better deal than Obama. His followers believe it, but after what he said about Biden, questioning his rationality. And so we're wondering what is going to happen next, because did you hear about all the planes crashing? Oh my gosh, all of the planes, every single plane in existence is crashing now. They have a plane crash in India, and everyone aboard the plane except for one person all perished. They all died. But the one that survived was in the emergency exit, which is right above the wing of the plane. and that's the safest part of the plane, so it's no surprise that he survived. But it is really scary, and he had a brother that was on the plane, and that one is still missing, so he's probably dead. So his brother died, but he made it out alive. And they're calling it a miracle, but you're asking yourself, yeah, but where were all the miracles for the people who died? Where were their miracles? So it's sad. It's a sad situation. And somebody has to be behind all of these plane crashes, because there were no plane crashes for many, many, many years. And then boom, just like that, all of a sudden, there's plane crashes left, right, and the next way, And there's got to be someone sabotaging these planes. But because they're not considering sabotage, it shows a lack of intellectual rigor on the part of the media, because they just automatically, anything that smacks of conspiracy theory, they immediately label a conspiracy theory and say it's irrational and put down whoever believes it. But it's obvious, isn't it? Isn't it obvious that these planes are being sabotaged? So why would the media not consider sabotage as one of the possibilities for these planes? The only thing I can think of is that somebody really powerful, somebody rich and powerful, is sabotaging these planes and is telling the media to shut up and to not suggest that the planes are being sabotaged. So we're left to wonder. We're left to wonder who's behind all of these plane crashes, and we don't know. Nobody knows who's behind these plane crashes. We're left in the dark, knowing who's behind these plane crashes. We don't know, because they won't tell us. They, meaning the media circus, won't tell us who's behind these plane crashes. Would appreciate somebody to get on the case of who's behind these plane crashes, because it's not, we can't function like this. We can't go on like this. We can't go on letting planes crash left and right and do nothing about it. We have to find a solution. And if the solution means going after somebody who's sabotaging planes, then I'm all for it. Go after them. Find out who's sabotaging these planes. It's awful. It's just awful, isn't it? It's just so bad. And what else has been in the news? As if the plane crashes aren't enough, there have been storms and floods. Let's not forget the people who lost everything in these storms and these floods. And they sweep across the nation just like a hurricane, upending people's lives left and right. I think this last time 50 million people were under threat of tornadoes and floods and torrential rains and lightning. 50 million people were under threat, and the storms just won't stop coming, will they? It just won't stop coming. The people are under threat because of these storms. The only thing we can do about these storms, the only thing we can do is help the environment however we can. Stop consuming so much and do with less. That's the only thing we can do to stop these storms. But it's interesting that Trump is basically ending FEMA. He wants to end FEMA, and then he wants the Department of Homeland Security to take care of the emergencies that these states face with these storms. I don't know if canceling FEMA is such a hot idea because FEMA has been taking care of the emergency response for many, many years now. They're gone. Then who's going to have the expertise or the knowledge to know what to do? I don't understand it. Is he trying to give his buddies a tax break? Because it's really not, because he's going to spend even more. That big beautiful bill, he's spending even more on his big beautiful bill than he ever spent before. And it's going to be like add 4 trillion to the national deficit within 10 years. I think that's right. About 3.8 trillion to the national deficit. And Musk thought it was a bad deal. And he said that it was an atrocity and so on. Who knows what he's spending money on, because he made an awful lot of cuts. But they only cut about like 175 billion, and we're talking about trillions of dollars that Trump is planning on spending, probably mostly on his military exercises. And he's going to have a military parade come this Saturday. Originally he said it would be Friday, but now it's moved to Saturday. And yeah, it's another 45 million out the window. But that's just to be expected, right? The thing that's scary is that it reminds you so much of the Kremlin and China, Russia, North Korea, and their military parades. And is it really such a hot idea to have our weapons on display for the whole world to see? They could copy our weapons. They could copy them just looking at them. And that's another thing. So there's lots of things to be considered with this military parade that make it not such a hot idea, because it reminds you of the dictatorships of recent decades and what they do. So Trump apparently was jealous of these dictators, and he wants to put it out there that he's the absolute dictator, and he's doing a real good job of it. I'm convinced he's a dictator already. And it won't be too much longer before freedom of speech is curtailed, because look what happened to that senator. All he did was say, I have a question for, I don't even know her name, Kristi Noem or whatever her name is. And the Secret Service attacked him and took him down. And they forced him to the floor. They handcuffed his hands behind his back. They led him away, and he's a U.S. Senator. So, and then he was released later, but shows that if you have a question for somebody, if you have a question for anybody in the Trump administration, you're going to get arrested. Maybe even me, right? Get arrested. You're going to get arrested. And Trump has news for those who want to protest his military parade. He said that people who protest his military parade will be met with huge force. Is that democratic? I don't think so. So that's what's happening in the world. So you guys hang tight through Father's Day. It's Father's Day weekend, and that's when we're having this military parade. Hang tight through it all. And I hate to tell you this, but if you love your country, get out there and protest, because there's nothing left for us to do except protest. And I'll see you next time.